Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the FearFans podcast. I'm your host, Don Elmy. With me is Nick Millet. And tonight we got a good one here for you. So, with the new movie 28 Years Later just coming out over the past weekend, I thought, well, why not check out the original film that started it all? A film that I remember fondly from my childhood, and it is 28 Days Later. Released
You know,
in,
oh,
yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
it was originally released in 2002, but released in America in 2003.
And also, just real quick to everybody, a lot of the other show hosts are very busy right now. I also would like to give out our support for Chris, who's kind of going through an issue right now. So everybody, please give your prayers and thoughts to Chris. It's nothing, anything horrific, but he's kind of in a situation, health situation right now. So please,
Yes.
if you got, for everyone who knows him, who's seen our shows before, if you want to, definitely, like I said, give your thoughts and prayers to him. I'm sure he could use all the support that he could get as of right now. So but also everybody else already has plans. So therefore, tonight it's just gonna be me and Don.
Yes. Yeah. I hope Chris is going to be okay. Oh, and
Yeah, I hope he
did
is.
did Kate say that she wasn't joining? Because I thought she was going to join.
I don't think so. She said something, or I'm checking I'm trying to look back at what she said. She said, give me a second here while I'm scrolling through. Found it. She won't be back home till about 9 o'clock, which, yes, that's 25 minutes from now. But she has to speak with her aunt tonight because she's calling her tonight. So, essentially, in other words, she's got stuff going on with family. So
Right.
she
I
won't be
gotcha.
available. Yeah, she won't be available either.
Okay. Well, she might join later on. We don't. Well, we'll see. Okay. Yep. And yeah, Kate. That's right. Like I just love this opening scene. Like how it just shows him waking up, finding all of London completely deserted. It's like everything's the same except there's just no people. Like this just
It's
shows what
apocalyptic.
apocalyptic. It shows like the buildings and everything like looks the same. Like no sign of like devastation like you would see in war and all that, but it's just that there's no people around and the walls are like full of missing persons signs or come find me notes. You know?
It's just like the entire city had just been abandoned. Like everything was left the way it was. Because again, like you said, there's no damage, there's no destruction. It's just like everybody just
Yeah.
like dropped. I mean, yeah, you see garbage in the street, but it's just like it's almost like in a way like people just dropped whatever they were doing and just ran off. That's the way how it looks. Like you can clearly tell there was never like any evacuation plans, so that would explain to get all the trash and debris left all over the city.
Right. And yeah, it's like you see he just first he just like wakes up in the hospital like and by the way Killian Murphy absolutely love that guy. Yeah, he's one of my favorite I think I believe he's Irish. Yeah, he's like my
Yeah,
favorite
he
Irish
is.
actor.
He's Irish.
Yes. All right.
Hey, Nikki.
Hey,
Yeah, she like what she just said
oh,
about her.
National
Oh,
Holiday of
okay. I didn't know about. Somehow I
I,
missed that
I
kid. I didn't know your uncle was in the hospital right now.
hey Kate, totally understand 100%. Hope your uncle's gonna be okay. So hey, my
Uh,
thoughts and prayers with him.
I also want to point out one more thing, not to keep going back to these health issues and stuff like that. Next door neighbor of mine has also been admitted to the hospital. I mean, we still don't know all the details, but we're actually speculating that he may have been sent to the same hospital that I went to half a year ago when I had my brain injuries back in November. So he's currently in Evanston, and I believe from what I heard is that he's undergoing brain surgery right now. So it's kind of a tough time for a couple of us.
Yeah,
And also
man.
one more note too. Not this has nothing to do with us, but I just want to throw it out because I don't know if you heard, Don. There's been a famous music celebrity who recently passed away earlier today. You know who Bobby Sherman is, right?
Yep, I saw that. I saw that on the news earlier.
Yep.
Yep.
I know he
Rest
was
in
both a
peace.
singer and actor from the late 60s, early 70s. He was a teen idol. And for those that don't know, sadly, he passed away earlier today. He was 81 years old.
Yep. 81. Yep. Man, but let's see. Yeah. So then what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like he wakes up in the hospital like apparently like he's been in a coma for like 4 weeks. So he like apparently was in the coma right before the rage virus had escaped from the research facility, thanks to some PETA members. I'm guessing that's what they were.
Yep,
And
that's correct.
yeah, yeah. So imagine, can you imagine just waking up? Just it's like you go to sleep, wake up, and find no one around. Like especially in a place like here, like not only just in London, but like right here in Chicago. You wake up, you find all the streets abandoned. You see like everything looks the same, like Sears Tower, Field Museum, Wrigley Field, but there's just nobody around.
Well, you know what it also kind of reminds me of? Because now that I really think about it, it kind of, in a way, I wonder if it served any inspiration from this. I wonder if some way that it reminds me of the very first episode of The Walking Dead when Rick, after he got shot and he woke up and he found, well, I mean, yeah, he came across the walkers very quickly, but it is kind of a similar approach. So I wonder if The Walking Dead may have taken a little from 28 Days Later for that opening scene.
Let's see. I'll have to look back to when the year the first graphic novel of Walking Dead was released, but yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like, and the first thing that I like how the first thing that Jim finds is like when he steps out of his out of his hospital room, like the cans of the the soft drink cans that are on the
Yeah, the
floor.
soda cans.
That becomes his nourishment. Because I mean, after being asleep for, yeah, obviously people in comas are like kept on fluids and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure after that coma, he definitely needed a sip of that Pepsi. I mean, seriously, he like downed it.
I mean, if you're in an apocalyptic world, it's best you try to get some kind of nourishment and some kind of drink. I mean, because who knows
Well, I
when you're
mean,
gonna
yeah,
who knows when you're gonna get something to eat or drink next time.
yeah, and there was like another one, another soft drink that was mentioned in this film. I think it was called Tilt or Lilt.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh yeah,
Oh,
you're
it
right.
was.
You're right.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's like an
yeah, like
actual
I don't think
soda
that's an American.
or
I think it is though, but it's in like in the UK. But they stopped making that like 2 years ago.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I know Kate's watching, so she probably knows what we're talking about since she was originally from the UK. So that looked to me like like a type of drink that the UK made. Yeah, that's how.
Yeah.
You know what? That's true. I was not. I would not be surprised at all, Kate. That's how London would have looked like during the pandemic.
Oh yeah. And
See, now I got to be honest. I know we were under a pandemic, including in this case London was, but I will admit, if they ever wanted to make another 28 Days Later film like 5 years ago, that would have been the perfect time to shoot a film. But of course, obviously, we couldn't because nobody could shoot anything. Everybody was locked in.
yeah. Oh, here, Kate is asking what drink. It's called Lilt. I looked into this because I think it's a UK thing, a UK soft drink. Because I never seen that before here in America, and I believe that recently, in recent years, it got discontinued. I think Coca Cola like rebranded it as a flavor of Fanta.
Yeah, let's see what she
I think.
says. If we're thinking correctly.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
we'll give
we'll just
her a
see
few
what.
seconds
Yeah.
to respond back. Oh wait,
Right.
yeah, it's delicious. It's like Sprite but more fruity. So let's
Okay.
say,
Yeah, because I never. Yeah, because I never heard of that drink until I saw this movie. So I'm thinking, okay, if it's not here in America, maybe they just have it in the UK. Yeah. So
so it's
and it turns out I was
essentially
right.
basically like the British version of Sprite.
Yeah.
I,
Pretty much.
I'm laughing because you know what I'm thinking about when it comes to Sprite.
Yeah. That inside joke. Yeah. Oh
And
man.
one more thing about British culture, by the way, I don't know if you could really see right now with what I'm wearing. Ironically enough, is involving British culture. I'm wearing the Rolling Stones shirt. This is actually a
Nice.
T-shirt that I bought. I got this back in 2013 at a Rolling Stones concert. So, and it was
Oh,
for their 50th. What's that?
I got my Palais Royale. I got my Palais Royale shirt from their concert.
Yeah, this was to represent. This right here was to represent their 50th anniversary at that time. It even I can't really show it, but the bottom of it says 50 and counting. And so it's funny that we're talking about a British horror film, and I'm wearing a shirt that represents a very famous British band.
Nice.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
Kate, I think you're right. When I researched it for like a few days ago. Yeah, they said it was something. It had some kind of a grapefruit pineapple kind of taste to it. But Yeah, I would.
Remember when
Let's see.
Nick
I
was
would.
dead? Well, I mean, not too far off. I was 20 when I did go to see the Rolling Stones, which, by the way, even though they're far older now, they were still great and fantastic as hell. Mick Jagger still had his moves, still knew how to
Mhm.
dance. I'm starting to think either
Moves like
how
Jagger.
his age he's still dancing. I'm thinking to myself, he's either probably doing yoga or still doing the drugs.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, that's just
Oh,
kind
and
of the facts.
yeah. Oh, for those of you wondering, yeah, watermelon. I enjoy this stuff during summertime.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris is in the chat
Yeah.
now. Hope you're doing okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Hope you're all right, Chris. Yeah, like I just noticed like I mean because whenever I eat something like people are on like on a rare occasion people are wondering what do you have in your hand. I'm like, yep, this time it's watermelon. But anyway, so
I eat watermelon every now and then. Although I always prefer watermelon without the seeds.
I see.
Yeah, we're all just
Bill
trying to build
Douglas,
a
Keith Rich.
better world for Keith Richards, who has been here since the dawn. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah,
Very good.
so this movie stars let's see, Cillian Murphy, who I believe this was one of his early works. I mean, the guy is he's acted for a long time. I think he's almost 50 now.
Yeah, he is.
I think he's like a year away from that actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
He's
49, 48,
oh
49.
yeah. Oh yeah, and he's done oh man, like he's done like so much work ever since 28 Days Later, including working with Christopher Nolan movies. I believe he was Scarecrow in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah, I actually forgot
yeah,
about that.
let's see, yeah, Jonathan Crane, that was his character's name, but his villain name is Scarecrow. Let's see. Last time I saw him in a horror film was A Quiet Place Part 2. That was definitely a worthy sequel, and we've got to cover that on this podcast. Definitely.
You're going to find this hard to believe.
And
I still haven't seen part 2 yet. I've seen the first. I mean, obviously, I saw the first one with you, and I did see the somewhat prequel of it, but I still haven't seen the second one.
uh, well, it's worth seeing, man.
Yeah,
Let's see. Oh, also, he nailed it in Oppenheimer. He seriously like the guy. He could just literally play any great like anything. He's amazing. Anything he's in, he'd give us like 110%.
okay. Hey, Irene's
Yeah.
in the chat. I haven't seen her in a while. Good to see you. Okay,
Hey,
yeah,
how's it
there's
going, babyface?
Babyface, and then next up, yeah, there's Irene. Oh, sorry. On my way to the Shino Shrine. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I actually
Oh,
been meaning to follow that. Yeah, unfortunately, now that we've entered the month of June, unfortunately, not just for here, but for all over the world, it's hurricane and typhoon season. And just
right.
recently, the first storm tropical system for the Atlantic Ocean
Hey,
named
Billy.
Andrew. The first tropical
Yeah.
system for the Atlantic in the Atlantic area named Andrea developed. Although it's staying out at sea, it's weakening, and that may be a good thing. But I know this is not it. This is only the beginning. So
Hey,
a
babyface.
long, we got a long hurricane and typhoon season coming up for many of our countries, all the way up till November. It's going to be probably a rough ride for a lot of us. So be safe.
Yeah. Oh, and Kate, yes, I liked him in Red Eye as well. That
Right
Wes
on.
Craven movie. Yep. And let's see. Trying to trying to keep up with the comments. I'm getting so many here. Yes,
Yeah,
he was the villain in Red
they're
Eye.
moving fast.
Yeah. Hey,
Holy
Hey, Leon, how's it going? I know we're getting done. Don't forget Scarecrow. Oh no, I didn't. I didn't forget him. I mentioned him.
Yeah, we just
His role
mentioned
in.
that
And,
before.
we just mentioned his role in the Dark Knight trilogy right before you came on.
You
So.
don't have to focus on these comments because they're responding to Kate and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I know. I just do it anyway. Yeah. So whatever. Yeah, it's like so this rage virus starts off inside this research facility. Yeah, apparently this virus was man-made because apparently mankind has not learned from their mistakes about creating viruses. Go figure. But yeah, so these animal rights activists, they break into this research facility that are housing like all these chimps who they believe are being abused, and the researcher like busts them and explains that they're infected with rage, with
Yeah.
a virus that gets it.
Sorry, guys, who just
That
showed
get
up in the chat. Pickle Tom.
Hey Tom, how's it going? And so they carry a rage virus that gets into like, that can be spread through bites, through bodily fluids like blood and saliva. And I believe that this was referenced very briefly in an episode of Rick and Morty, where in the beginning of Interdimensional Cable 2, where like Jerry gets sick with a virus that he caught from like something in Rich's stuff. But yeah, like Rick, he said, yeah, like don't let if he if that stuff that he vomited, don't get like it'll stain if it gets in your clothes, and if it gets in your eyes or mouth, it'll sudden you into a murderous rage. And I believe that was a reference to 28 Days Later.
It's too bad Tom's not here because he would be voicing Rick and Morty immediately, and he just said, but unfortunately, okay, so now I know why Tom's not coming on. Still fatigued from working out in the heat today, which a good portion of this of U.S. here has been affected by an incredible heat wave from pretty probably I think all the way from Iowa all the way up to the East Coast. So it's been affecting
Oh
several
yeah,
states. Been hot
it's
as
been
well.
bad. I mean, oh yeah, I've had my AC going, and I've been spend the past couple of days living off of watermelon and ice water.
I think the heat. Yeah, we've been under a heat wave since Saturday. I think the heat wave is finally coming to an end, but either way, we're still going to have heat in the end. And I'm hoping by next week, Don, we should have our. For those of you who don't know, I actually do have a pool, a swimming pool in the backyard, but
Yep.
unfortunately, my dad is still working on it. So as of right now, we can't go for a cool sanctuary because he's still. And of course, my dad couldn't work on it while in the intense heat because he has to paint parts of the walls and stuff, and by painting it on the during the heat would just mess up and melt the paint very quickly, so we had to wait till the heat wave was over, but hopefully another week or so we could finally get cooled off.
So Billy's asking in the movie. It definitely predates the COVID pandemic by almost 20 years, but or is he asking by predate? Does he mean predict?
Yeah, he says predate, but I would not say that it would predate because you know 20 years
The movie
before.
no, this movie predates that. It definitely
Oh,
does because it
predates.
came out.
Oh, well, I mean, it's hard to say as far as like predicting it. I don't know if I because keep in mind there also have been uh many other diseased like movies involving diseases that does give an apocalyptic world look to it. So it's hard to say because 28 Days Later is not the only movie that displayed that kind of element. There's been many other apocalyptic movies made in between that prior to COVID.
That's right,
Because
including movie.
let's also forget too. It was 2002 when it originally came out. We didn't know that we were going to expect a pandemic almost 20 years later. So it was just you have to remember, just like a lot of these movies. A lot of times it was just to tell a scary story, and that was it.
Yeah, definitely predicts it. Chemical warfare is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
One of the worst nightmares. Oh yeah, definitely worst nightmare if something like that gets leaked. And also, it's like it's like if this shows you anything, don't create any rage viruses. Because seriously, it's like at this point, it's like you might as well just create the T virus while you're at it.
When I see the opening scenes, like I agree, the animal rights activists, were dumb to really open up the cages. But it also did show that the rage virus, because you do notice this in the later part of the film as well as the additional sequels, that
Mhm.
it seems as if the rage virus only it doesn't really infect animals other than the monkeys in the film, although it seems to be lesser. It still gives them the rage, but they're not as rabid
Yeah.
as the human hosts are, because yes, they still keep the red eyes, but they don't vomit blood. They're not like in constant pain. So that probably also means too that the rage virus is also in a way a primitive type of disease. So that's why you don't see it affecting animals like dogs or cats or anything like that.
Well, maybe the primates were capable of infecting humans because humans and primates are related. Scientifically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why
Well,
I'm saying it's probably more of a primitive type of disease.
yeah. Do you think World War Z is a little similar? To some degree, yes. Yeah. I
What I
mean,
always love about. Oh, go ahead, Don. Go on.
yeah, I think it does have some similarities to the virus because, like the infection spreads within seconds, so it is able to devastate cities like within in a heartbeat. So
Hundreds
there
of.
are there are some similarities as far as the virus. Hey Sarah, how's it going?
Hundreds of
Uh,
oh my God, Sarah! It's been a long time since we've seen you. Good to see you here.
yeah,
Now, Kate also said I wanted to show this. There are hundreds of thousands of viruses that are worked on in library. What's library? I almost said library. They do them in libraries. No, no, in laboratories. Ignorance is bliss. I mean, that's why we have like the obviously over here we got the CDC is one of them.
yeah.
So it's absolute. They have facilities, and it's not just here though. They have facilities like that all over the world.
Yes, I was actually about to mention Outbreak when we talked about movies about diseases that predate 28 Days Later. Yes, there was Outbreak that starred Dustin Hoffman, Morgan Freeman. Uh, I do remember that. It's
I
I
saw
thought
that movie back in high school.
I thought that virus was pretty terrifying. Thank God that one's not real. Imagine the kind of devastation that would actually do in real life. Good
Check
God.
this out. What Kate just said about World War Z. It was filmed in Glasgow. She was there
Oh,
when they were filming it.
really? That's
Check
awesome.
that out.
That's crazy.
You don't really hear that very often. I actually forgot that World War Z was also filmed in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yep,
what?
that's
You
right.
never know. Mutations are the deadly ones. Well, and the other thing too, if I'm thinking correctly, when it comes to the rage virus in this film, didn't it start off as some? Again, it's been a long time since I've seen 28 Days Later.
Right.
Wasn't it also starting off as a different type of virus, like kind of like Ebola? I thought they were trying to like not crossbreed, but trying something with the virus, and then it eventually turned into rage. Wasn't it something else before that?
Maybe, but in the movie Outbreak, they did the virus in that was pretty much a new form of Ebola. Or
Yeah.
no. Oh wait, no. E. coli.
No, not yeah.
E. coli. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got
This
the
year marks
Ebola mixed up.
this year marks Outbreak's 30th anniversary, 1995. We
Right.
actually watched it when I was. I mean, I'm still surprised we were allowed to watch it because, considering how graphic at times it is, but they actually showed that movie to us in biology class.
Oh
At
yeah,
that
I
time, we
imagine.
were only like, we were freshmen in high school. So at that time, we were only like 14, 15 years old. So I'm really surprised they got to let us watch a film like that at that age in school.
I know, right? I mean, yeah, it definitely had a real good cast to it. Let's see. Oh, it also had Patrick Dempsey right before he was in Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, it was one of those films that pretty
Yeah.
much had an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
It had a lot of big names.
And a virus that was spread by a monkey.
That's right. And not only that, too. I mean, I think looking back now, oh yeah, I try not to think
Yeah.
that either, Sarah. But unfortunately, I have to we have to when it's our birthdays. But
Yeah.
I was gonna see what Chris said. It's like so 3 years ago. Anyways, what I was gonna say was, I think the reason why they showed it. I mean, obviously, they wouldn't have showed 28 Days Later because that would have been too much of a violent film.
Hmm.
But I think the
Right.
reason why we were allowed to watch Outbreak was, even though it's an entirely fictional film, and even though it was rated R, and again, all of us at that time were 14, 15 years old, was just simply kind of just, even though it's fictional, it was to kind of be exposed to the reality of deadly diseases out there, especially
Yeah.
when we're going out in the world onto our own.
That's right.
So
Oh, and Billy, hey, you think seeing Outbreak in school is crazy? When I was a freshman, we were watching 300 when we were learning about the time of the Spartan era.
Tom here says, see what Tom here says. Um, you think that was a surprise that you got to see Outbreak in school? Got to watch Goodfellas in school. Okay,
Good one.
good for you.
The eye splatter with
Hey,
the
look who's
oh man,
hey, look who just showed up. What's up, Braxton? Good to see
Braxton,
you.
how's it going, man?
You made it.
Yeah. Yeah, so Nick, this movie definitely had some familiar faces to it. Like I said, Killian Murphy, but it also had Naomi Harris, and I always liked her in the James Bond movies. I believe she was in that. She played Moneypenny, if I'm
Oh,
remembering this
that's
correctly.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I
starting.
never really watched a lot of the James Bond films. See, honestly, when it
Yeah,
comes to an actress like her, that's something you should be talking to my brother about, because he grew up watching the James Bond movies. So honestly, he would probably know more about that than I would.
Ah, yeah, it was starting with Skyfall up until No Time to Die. But let's see. Oh, it also had I remember this guy from Lake Placid, Brendan Gleeson. He played the sheriff in Lake Placid. He played Hannah's father in this, Frank.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there are quite a few familiar faces in this movie.
and give me a second here. What see there was. Oh,
Yep.
that's what Tom said when they said they watched Goodfellas. It was a criminology class. Well, I mean, that's when it comes to those type of classes, yeah, I mean, it's just like what I said. I was in biology class, and that's why they showed Outbreak to us. Now, Kate here also said she watched The
Big
Ring at
fan.
school when she was 14. It was insane. Their science teacher got to well, I don't know what see. I'm not familiar when it comes to the British ratings they have, because I know over here it's rated PG-13, but still, that's quite an intense film to watch at school. Oh, Braxton was James Bond fan as a kid. Loved the games and films.
Yep. And I will never let this one go.
I still have mine. I have that one along with it's, and they kind of followed along the pathway. I got that along with Perfect Dark.
Oh yeah, same company made the Wolfo games.
They
Uh,
originally wanted to make Perfect Dark kind of in the same universe as GoldenEye and 64, but then they just decided just to separate them.
right. And let's see. So yeah, the director of 28 Days Later was Denny Boyle, and I'm familiar with quite a bit of his work. Let's see. He's directed Slumdog Millionaire, and he's also directed 127 Hours. So
Yeah.
the guy has a great resume.
Nikki, are you referring to the show 24? Because I never really watched it. My dad was a huge fan of that TV show.
Hmm. Ring scared the hell out of me. Oh yeah, we actually we covered that one on the podcast. Hey, Babyface, would it surprise you if the girl who played Samara in The Ring, that she was the voice of Lilo in Lilo and Stitch? It's true.
From 007 Nightfire. Oh my God.
Oh, he's
Braxton.
listed. He's
I
listing the
gotta say,
games.
I was gonna say, I gotta say for Braxton, for what he said. I mean, we had all of them. I still have we still have 007 Nightfare,
Nightfire.
007 Nightfire, and everything. Yep, Everything or Nothing. World's Not. I don't know about World's Not Enough. But I know we had the aforementioned two games.
Yeah,
Still got
it's
those.
it's it's true, babyface. I mean, if you do were to look back at The Ring and you see that scene where Samara was alive and being interviewed, and you just listen to her voice, I'm thinking, oh my god, yes, that's Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, so Nikki was right. Yeah, she's referring to the TV. Yeah, I never watched it, Nikki, because at the time when the original series aired, I was of course a lot younger back then, and it just never caught my interest to begin with. But like I said, my dad was a huge fan of that show. He watched that all the time back in the day.
Let's see. Perfect,
Perfect
love
Dark.
Perfect Dark. Yes, I have that one too.
It took a while for me to get to that very last level where you got to fight the whatever those aliens are called.
Yep.
The bad I forgot their name, but I'm not lying. When you had to go to the ruins to fight the final boss, oh my god! It took me. I'm not gonna lie. It took me weeks, if not like 2 months, before I could finally finish the game. Like holy cow! Flash flooding and huge thunderstorms here. I didn't hear anything about that happening over here. I mean, I knew we were going to get storms, but nothing severe degree or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to
Yes,
keep
I'm
an eye
familiar with
on
that.
that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like a 20, like, well, I just like, let's see, the whole cinematography of that scene where he's just walking alone, like through London to see all like that it's completely deserted, like that sense of that eerie sense of just being alone in like what was previously a big society, people around, and now there's nothing. Yeah, I
You know
just,
what I also compare it a little bit to? Like when you really think about it, like that complete loneliness that you have in that first part of the movie is, to me, it also kind of represents another film that it doesn't have that look, but it has some similarities to it though. It reflects to an earlier movie from the early 1960s. In fact, it's actually reminds me of a Vincent Price movie, the Last Man on Earth, And if you really think about it, it kind of gives that element of like the
Yeah,
last man on
Braxton.
earth who was sitting alone in his room, and then all of a sudden a knock on the door.
Yeah, I hear that. Let's see. Yep, still have my copy.
That makes two of us, Braxton. You
Oh
know
yeah.
what? I'll be right back. Give me just a second. Because now I got to get my copy.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Hey,
I pretty much just started a thing here. um, it was set. Yeah, there's actually is an explanation for that. They used like these these digital cameras instead of like the cameras that we typically see in Hollywood films or big production companies because they wanted to have a way to film it quick, so they wouldn't have to like keep a place closed off for like make it look abandoned. But yeah,
I can
because
find them.
they had to film in like busy areas. They could only film like certain scenes like quickly, so they had to so they used the digital cameras for that. That's why you get that camera quality, and they wanted the camera quality in this film to have this feel of like documentary style, like how like the idea of how people would probably be documenting themselves and then what they're doing during an outbreak.
I couldn't find my copies. I think my dad packed them up because because of Madeline, obviously.
Right,
So, but I do have them though. I promise
I
everyone.
got
I
you.
promise you all.
I was about to say you didn't have to go digging just because I was showing mine on
I
here.
mean, hey, we got to show that we're some of the survivors of the the survivors of the era when those games used to be far more popular back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, that would make sense, Chris. That they filmed very early in the morning where there are not many people around. Because I think Bamboos will use digital cameras too. I think I have
Yeah,
heard of Bamboo.
I
I've come across that before. Yeah,
I recently learned about that. They shot that scene in downtown London like very early in the morning. At a time when there was less people, obviously, because that's when most people are still asleep. So when I found that out, it obviously made sense to me.
and that totally makes sense, Kate. Yeah, like to have roads closed off that is pretty costly in film production. So yeah, they definitely had to be smart about the way they were filming this if they were gonna like try to pull it off. Rage virus still turn you into flesh eating zombies. I feel like it's more like a. No, I feel like these were
No,
not technically zombies. I feel like they were just infected people, infected with a rage virus, because
they're not
they,
zombies
because
because for a
because they're
variety of
not dead.
reasons.
Yeah, because
They're
they're
not.
not dead. Yeah,
They're half dead, but they're not undead though. Because and also they don't. And unlike zombies, they don't eat flesh. They do sometimes bite people to like spread the infection, but they do not actually consume, which is, later on, that was the ultimate answer of exterminating fully the infected, is because they lose all their habits of nutrition, like drinking, eating, and that's what eventually causes them to starve to death.
yeah. They pretty much go into this permanently feral state of mind where they're just they're only interested in attacking anybody that's not like them.
And look who just decided to show up.
Hey, and
Oh,
and
Shrinkerton.
hey,
She wants to be
Slinks.
part. Yeah, she wants to be part of the show too. I guess she wants to join as a substitute for everyone's
I
absence
don't.
tonight.
Yeah, I don't think there was a scene of Big Ben going doing the tolling. It just shows it in the background. They don't actually have the bell ringing.
And also, when it comes to the rage virus, like you said, they're always full of rage, and that they'll attack pretty much anything that moves for the most part.
Yeah, we did talk
It's
about that earlier, Billy.
Yeah, it's very much like I would pretty much describe the rage virus as like a very extreme version of rabies, and it spreads like
Could
rabies too
be.
because
Yeah.
it gives just like the rabies virus. Obviously not the same symptoms, but similarly, like when it comes to rabies, where you have foaming at the mouth, but in this case, in 28 days later, they vomit blood, which kind of is more
Yeah.
similar to like tuberculosis and some other diseases that do that. And then, of
Yes.
course, you have the animalistic like behavior, which sometimes does cause people to act like that when they're infected with rabies. So I would pretty much describe the rage virus as kind of like not only an extreme form of rabies, but almost like a extreme version of rabies from hell.
Yep. And not to mention the whole vomiting blood. I think that implies that the infected have like internal hemorrhaging
Yeah,
constant internal hemorrhaging, and also their eyes turn red as well.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
love the red they look. I mean, just these blood red, almost kind of demonic looking eyes that they
yeah,
develop almost, which again kind of gives that feel like this is a disease almost from hell. Like
pretty
it's not.
much.
It looks very unearthly looking when you see their eyes.
Yeah. Oh, Brexton, I do remember that scene from 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah, that
Uh,
scene was awesome.
it was. I loved it. Hey, like some people say, oh, it's not as good as the original, but I think it is still a good movie. Still
I
like it.
I really like 28 Weeks Later just as much as I did with the first one,
Yeah.
and
And
and I like how they continued on with the characteristics instead of changing anything.
right. Yeah, definitely is a scary depiction of a virus. The way it affects people. Yeah, I'm totally with you, babyface. It's a pretty terrifying outbreak. Let's see. Oh, and I like the scene where Selena and what was his name? Mark? Yeah, Mark. Where she and Mark saved Jim by throwing Molotov cocktails at the infected. As they're like running at him. Yeah, they basically like pulling a little ex machina there. That actually like makes me think back to the days where I was live streaming Last of Us, where I had to like defend myself in a bar from these looters, and I'm just and I was, but and I was in the process of making Molotov cocktails, and I'm just like, hey, yeah, I'm like in the joke. I was in the game. I just made a joke where I was just like, hey, come on, looters, don't you want to sell this over a cold one? And I was like, no, oh no, okay then. How about a hot one? And then I just threw a Molotov cocktail at them.
See, I would another thing too that you just made a good point about what the well, prior to the cocktails when what's the main character's name again?
Jim.
Jim. When he goes into the church and he finds the infected priest along with other infected. And I saw this in a documentary once. They talked about that scene. They were saying like he's trying to go to church, and usually a church is supposed to be a place of sanctuary. It's supposed to be a place of safety, not just a place of prayer. It's just supposed to give that safety feel to it. So him going in, it just kind of reflects on the place that's supposed to kind of save you and protect you has now become the place that's going to probably kill you because you have everybody that took cover were infected by the virus. So
Yeah, the
that's
irony.
why he approached the priest. He thought he was going to be safe. As soon as he saw the priest, they're like, nope. He starts making those twitches and stuff. You
Yeah,
knew something. You knew this was bad.
exactly. Yeah, irony that he would come across that in a place that's supposed to be like a place of sanctuary. The Lord's house. But
Unfortunately, it became a church from hell, pretty much,
oh yeah,
because now the infected took over. So it was quite obvious at that point that God was not helping him in this situation.
I'm pretty sure somebody out there wrote a fan fiction about that. Braxton
What did he say?
teaming up with
Link
Shaun
up?
from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, I mean, it did come out. No, it was
No,
like
no, no,
2
no.
years
Shaun,
later.
Shaun of the Dead was about 2 years after.
Yeah, 2004 that came out.
Yes.
But that would have been funny if they actually did kind of like a crossover or something. I mean, with all due respect, they were both British films, so
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Oh man, but let's see. Like there wasn't. Obviously, there's a lot of violence and craziness in this, but I think the most wholesome scene in this whole movie was where it was just like right after they had teamed up with Frank and his daughter Hannah, and they came across a grocery store and decided to shop there.
Yeah,
They were
it
just
was like
like, yeah,
one of the
that's just
very
like,
few one of the very few heartwarming scenes,
oh
like
yeah,
positive scenes in the entire movie.
yeah. I mean, the way they were just looking at it through the snack foods and stuff, that just got me thinking back to like over this past weekend where I was up at the lake house up in northern Illinois with the family. So me and my mom and my 8-year-old niece Maeve, we were looking for some stuff for dinner because there were like 12 of us up there. So we had to like buy a whole bunch of chicken and stuff. But so so me and Maeve went off to go get some ingredients while my mom was like waiting at the deli for chicken. But and me and Maeve were like looking through all the snack foods that she loved, and then I showed her the different kind of snacks that I loved as a kid, like pizza rolls and fruit by the foot. And she's like, and she was like, "Wow, you guys had those back then when you were little."
We
Oh
still have
man,
them at our store, but
yeah,
I always liked the idea. I mean, it does make sense in a way when they do show, like a grocery store, because you see that in some of the others, apocalyptic films. I don't just say zombie films, because they've done that in other type of films where the world has pretty much ended, where it almost, as I would describe, it almost kind of gives like that sensory kind of feeling where, if that was to really happen, I'm pretty sure
No, Twinkies.
somebody would
I
go
love
into
donuts.
I'm pretty sure somebody would go into a deserted grocery store and grab whatever they could. I mean, it may look funny from that scene, but in reality, they're trying to do this just simply to survive. So they have, plenty of food, water, nourishment to eat, drink, and survive on.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, speaking of drink, I remember when they went up to the rooftop and showed that Frank had set up a whole bunch of the buckets and then pots to like collect rainwater to drink from, which I gotta say, great move. Except the one thing I felt that felt off was they had laundry baskets on there, and I'm just like, what? Those laundry baskets have holes in them. You really think you're gonna collect that much water with it?
Unless, of course, they taped them up or something like
They
that.
didn't. They didn't.
Okay.
So yeah, that part that was kind of dumb. Hot pockets. Oh yeah.
I haven't had Geez, why am I mispronouncing words tonight? I
Oh
haven't
no.
had hot pockets. I haven't had hot pockets in a very long time, but yeah, they've always been the best.
Oh yeah.
You
I
know what?
remember.
I'm gonna smack myself, so hopefully I can speak right.
Yeah. Hey, I can. Hey, I can come over there and do that for you, or try to reach through the screen, or try to reach through the screen and do it.
You'll have to do it. I guess we're doing it Three Stooges style then.
Yeah, exactly. So which are we? Let's see. Am I Curry, Larry, or Mo? Which one are you?
See, I would have said that I could have been Mo, because I kind of have similar hair. Although, but I will say, and actually, I've never said this on any shows before. I know I have long hair today, but many years ago, I used to have it almost close to a buzz cut. And to tell you guys the truth, when I used to have the buzz cut, people said
Oh yeah, I remember
people
those.
said I looked like Curly Howard.
Uh, Nick would be.
Sarah
Would
said
be
I look like Chef. I can't
Oh
do
man,
that. That
I can't do it
noise he
either.
does.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I
Like,
liked animal crackers as a kid
knock,
too.
knock.
Yeah, I liked animal crackers as a kid too, Braxton, and they still have those to this day. Good stuff.
You have them
Uh,
in our store.
yep. I always
Chef.
loved. I always loved.
Everyone's saying I'm going to be Chef.
Yep, it's official. You're Shump now.
So this basically means I have now made the transition from looking like Curly Howard from the Three Stooges to Shemp now.
Yep.
Hey, I'm two of
Yep.
the Howard brothers.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Happy day.
yeah, I
I
just
always have a day, baby face.
yeah, I just like that scene where they were like, oh man, like Selena and I keep forgetting his name, Mark. Yeah, Selena and Mark were explaining to Jim what was going on, and she like described in a pretty unique way what was going on with the what this infection was, saying like, oh, you just the first day we thought it was just riots, but then you learn it's more than that because it's happening in small village and market towns, and it wasn't just on TV anymore; it was outside your window, and then it comes in through your window, and I'm just like, wow, like seriously,
Yeah.
whoever wrote that dialogue, good stuff.
They also
Man,
mentioned at one point too that even though it takes place entirely in the UK, I think it was Selena who said it was that the virus had also spread to other countries. Like I think they said like it also had spread to like France, parts of France and New York City.
she
So
did.
that also meant too that this was not just an isolated event. It pretty much was. I mean, they didn't necessarily say it was a worldwide event, but if they're saying if it was also infecting in France and New York City, that pretty much meant that the infection had spread throughout North America as well as mainland Europe.
That's yeah.
So that
That's right.
pretty much meant that even if they left the UK, it would and head back to the mainland of Europe, it would not matter because they would have infected over there too.
Right. And of course Jim realizes hard to find good dialogue these days. Oh yeah, definitely, Sarah. I agree with that completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen like a bad movie where they have some of the just the worst written dialogue ever. Yeah, but and of course there were scenes that were that were pretty tragic, heartbreaking, such as where Jim goes to see for himself, like to find his parents, but goes to their house and discovers they had not been killed by the infection, but they killed themselves by overdosing on pills, and they left a suicide note telling him that, hey, you're asleep, and now we're asleep with you. Don't wake up. I think that was just
They assumed he was dead, but
yeah.
they probably also were doing it so they probably also did it too to prevent themselves like dying a far more worse and probably painful death. Not to mention probably to prevent themselves from getting infected.
Right. Brexton, the rage virus was not
No,
airborne. It spread through either one of two things: bites or bodily fluids, which includes blood and saliva.
so like even a kiss, for example, on lips can infect you, and pretty
Yep.
much it's that type of virus where it's spread through pretty much through close person to person contact.
Yep.
And another thing I like about how the infected attack, like I said, even though they do bite, every now and then, I like how they use other tactics of attack, which is their main way of attack. They looks like almost like they claw people, like they're clawing them, like
Yeah.
like they claw
It's
them with their fingers.
it's just like the zombies in Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, they claw you, and even on some occasions they even punch you in a way. So it's not always about just spreading the infection. You're pretty much more or less getting it. I mean, the bite may not necessarily kill you because they're not eating it, but if you're not getting infected, you're more or less than pretty much getting clawed or beaten to death by the infected.
Yeah, pretty much. And like, oh yeah, another very tragic scene was when they were going to like they just got out of the city, so they went to this rural gas station to refuel their car, right? And so
Yeah.
Jim goes into the store. He comes across a dead woman and her and like two corpses, one of a woman and one of the baby she was holding. And just when you think that was, I'm just like Jesus, dude. And then an infected little boy like attacks Jim, and this is the first and only time you hear an infected talk. And the infected boy said, "I hate you." Yep. And then Jim beats him in the head with a bat to death.
Danny Boyle. Danny,
And
go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, what I was gonna say was yes. Even though I mean yes, that scene is I can understand why that scene being upsetting, but I mean, as terrible as it is to think about, like there are viruses out there that have been able to that have infected and killed children. I mean, I believe that's the whole point of that scene is to show realism that that's like nobody is safe when it comes to a worldwide plague. I mean, look at like look at our history. We've had been through like so many different plagues that have killed all sorts of men, women, and children. Like there's the Black Plague. Let's see,
Which was
smallpox.
throughout Europe,
Yeah,
including
yeah,
the UK.
yeah, yeah. Smallpox, the Spanish flu. Let's see, even the
COVID.
AIDS. Yeah, even the AIDS pandemic throughout the '80s and I mean,
Well,
this scene, yes, depressing, upsetting, yes, but also it reflects a very grim reality.
it was as I would say, I mean, I didn't necessarily find it depressing as I should have, but I found it to be very, very dark. That's how I saw it. And also, um, I mean, yes, it's true. We have seen other movies. I mean, in this case, with actual zombies, where we've sometimes seen children become zombies, but this was kind of a more realistic approach in that matter. But
Oh yeah.
also, if you really think about it too, especially like when it came to reality, yep, the yellow fever epidemic down in the southern states and
Mm-hmm.
Spanish flu.
Yeah,
When
that's
you
right.
really think about, like, for example, what recently happened a few years ago with COVID-19, this sounds unrelated, but it goes right back to that type of message. I don't know if you ever heard it, Don. I think I sent it to you, but I'm not sure if you heard it. But Alice Cooper actually made a song in response to the COVID-19 epidemic, which has become one of my favorite songs ever. It's called "Don't Give Up," and what I love about the
I may
song,
have come across that on YouTube.
what I love about the song is that even though it came out in 2020, he made that old-fashioned sound almost like it sounded more like it came out over 30 years ago. It had that late 80s, early 90s rock sound to it. So like if you didn't know when the year that song came out, you would have thought that he would have made that, back in the late 80s, early 90s. But it's a good song if you haven't heard. Again, if you guys want to look it up, it's called Don't Give Up. There's also a music video involved. But what I'm mainly trying to say about that song is that there is a lyric that he says when it came to the COVID, COVID, saying that it's been a while since I've heard the song, saying that our world's like in the grip of an unforgiving monster. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't it doesn't care who you are. It has no heart, no feeling, no mentality or anything like that. So it's sending that same message. Doesn't matter who or what you are, what race you are, man or woman or child, it will infect anybody.
Yeah.
So very much in a way with 28 days later with that scene involving the kid, it's like a message to show that if something like this really did happen in reality, which in a way it has with COVID, nobody's safe. It doesn't care who or what you are.
Yeah. It doesn't care if you're old, young. They don't even care. It doesn't even care if you're an innocent baby. Viruses kill like it takes no prisoners. If virus spreads, it kills. It just does. You
See,
know. It-
if I was able to, like, before we ended tonight, I mean,
oh,
I know COVID obviously, has pretty much been brought down, but honestly, I would have played the song. I would have played the song here on the show, but unfortunately, as we all know, though, like, we can't because of copyright issues. But if we didn't have the copyright issues, I would have waited to play it at the end of the show so everybody can hear what it's like. But I
yeah.
can't.
Well,
So therefore, if you guys want to check out that song by Alice Cooper, unfortunately, you're gonna have to look that song up on your own.
right. Babyface say, "I'm glad you were able to find work again."
Yeah, I
That's
know
yeah.
that tore everything apart.
Yeah. It
Really was.
brought it affected all. It had an effect on all of us. And
Like
oh
the
yeah,
Grim Reaper in Final Destination.
yeah. And Nick, yeah. So that song, what you just said, reminded me that let's see, Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande did pretty much a very similar thing during the pandemic. They did a song together called "Rain on Me," which I did a reaction video and they were it was pretty much like to saying, oh, like I'm. And like insurance and like basically the whole point of it is sure, like things are bad now, like we're getting rained on, but we're still alive, then and it didn't even sound modern. It sounded like had it had that '90s pop kind of a feel to it. Like if
The
you remember,
nostalgic feeling.
yes, exactly. So
That's what I
they were
noticed
pretty
about.
much doing similar to like what you were saying about Alice Cooper. Like he gave that retro vibe to it.
Yeah, that's what a lot of those singers did, during the height of COVID. Even though at that time, we had just entered a new decade, the 2020s, yet because of COVID, but also with a lot of these singers, even singers that didn't ever really rely on that kind of sound. They were all making these different tracks, these different song pieces, not only just reflecting upon the message about COVID-19, but just kind of giving that nostalgia feel. I think they were trying to give that feel of that era just so it could give like a more positive feel to it, not just the message itself. And I just thought of one, and there's one other band that did that too. Bon Jovi did the same thing too as well. They made I don't remember what it was. I forgot the name of the song, but if you type in, Bon Jovi COVID-19 song, it should show up. They did two versions of that song where the first one, it was just them performing. And then they were re-recorded a second time with a well-known, I think, country singer in that case, who just more or less contributes to the song. So a lot of singers really kind of gave that feeling when it came to an epidemic like that. So that kind of already tells me that if we were to go through another pandemic, whether it's COVID, like a much more like bad version of COVID or any type of disease whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
there's a good likely chance we're probably going to see more music like that.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you, babyface. I hear that.
Oh, it sucked wearing a mask, but we had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to just say this real quick. What I did to try to make the positiveness out of it. Yeah, it sucked always wearing it because it's covering your face and sometimes it's hard to breathe.
All right.
But when it came to holidays and stuff, I always made sure that I had a holiday themed mask just to show that, hey, we may be in isolation, we may have to put masks on, but that still doesn't mean that we could still make it fun by wearing a mask to represent a holiday. So that's what I did.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people do that. Let's see. And hard not to sneeze. Oh, I hear you, babyface.
Oh yeah, even
And
when you wear a mask too. I mean, that doesn't fully cover, sneezing fluids. Sometimes it still spits out.
yeah,
So it's
yeah, I prefer not to think of that. Any- anyway, so yeah, and also there are several moments in this that feel like even just one small thing could end up being a bad decision with dire consequences. Like for example,
good
oh
night,
hey,
Chris.
good night, Chris.
Have a good
Like
night. Hope you get better by tomorrow. We'll check
yes,
in. We'll check in with you when we get off work tomorrow.
totally. And like when Jim was like lighting a candle, like to look around to like the fridge, reflecting on his memories of his parents. While Selena and Mark were asleep, the lit candle attracted the attention of two infected who ran in and attacked them, and they managed, even though they did manage to stop them. Uh, Mark was infected. He had like a cut in his arm, and Selena just completely just went crazy at him, like took him out with a machete. She was like wasn't taking chances, saying that if she believed that Jim was infected, she would do the same thing to him in a heartbeat. So it's like, man, survival in zombie during these outbreaks, it's
It's
insane.
paranoia. That's what it is. You just don't, as much as you probably hate making that type of kill, even if it is true that that person is not infected, you still can't take the risk, because if you do that, it might be too late for you. So it's like kind of like it really is, again, another classic example. It's either kill or be killed. Or in other
Yep.
words, if that really happened to us, like, I hate to say this, I'm just using it as an example, Don, but if that was in that
Oh, yeah,
situation, if we were in that situation, let's say if you got injured or something like that, I mean, it's like, I got to do you or I'm going to get done, because most likely, I mean, if it's one of us has to live.
yeah. They pretty much had that same situation in all sorts of virus or zombie movies, like in the Dawn of the Dead remake, which we definitely got to cover at some point in this podcast, a little bit down the road. And yeah, Babyface also mentioned this movie, and I gotta say, as far as remakes go, this one is really good. I really do enjoy this remake. I remember when this came out in theaters. I was still in grade school.
I'm
But
doing good, Thomas.
hey,
I'm doing good, Thomas. How are you?
here, I wanted to respond to this comment. Hey, yeah, I hope everything's going well with you. I've yeah, just been keeping myself busy. Trying to survive this heat. Been spending the past few days living off of watermelon and ice water. So yeah, I wouldn't want to give up living. Oh, hey, I'm with you. I fight to the end.
That's what I mean. It's in that situation. I mean, yeah. I mean, when they commit the when she had to kill Mark, you can clearly tell it was nothing personal or anything like that. They
Right.
don't view that type of thing as personal. It's just a matter of survival. So again, it's either kill or be killed.
Right.
Braxton here says even people for the original creator of the Friends theme song made a coronavirus version song. The song.
Oh,
Oh,
they
I,
did. Yeah,
I
I
didn't
saw
know
that.
that actually.
I know about that.
I didn't know that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I saw that like on YouTube before.
I don't know how
Um,
I missed that. I thought that would if that was they did that, I should have seen it sooner then.
yeah, and yeah, like I. I remember it's like what you said about this whole kill or be killed thing, and like it makes me think back to like when I was playing a zombie when I was a teenager playing a zombie game, and my mom like walked in on me playing Left 4 Dead. Say she was like saying this is disgusting, Don, because she can't stand horror violence, and I'm like, well, this is like a scenario where it's like when you have to kill zombies because it's like you can't hesitate because they won't, you know.
Very much so. So, I think it would be better to travel with a group of people you trust. Well, yeah, and that's something that's always important. So, Sarah also just asked a question here.
Yes, there are several. We covered one last year, which took place. Which actually we covered a couple last year. One of them took place around 4th of July, and that's Return of the Living Dead. So that can be considered. Let's see. I Know What You Did Last Summer. That takes place the 4th of July holiday. And one that we're covering. That reminds me of what we're covering next week. We're covering a 4th of July themed movie called Uncle Sam. It's a straight to video horror film from the 90s. If you've been to a Blockbuster back then, chances are you come across it.
And also, let's not forget, most importantly, too, which this year marks the 50th anniversary of it, is Jaws, which also
Oh
takes place around 4th of
yes,
July.
yes.
And the aforementioned film that you mentioned of I Know What You Did Last Summer We're going to be watching that, in fact, this upcoming weekend, because for those of you who don't know, and again, I know obviously everybody here on the show is like from different states, different, and to an extent different countries who watch. Don and I, who live locally, we, along with our local friends, we often have, well, I often host what's called holiday movie nights, in which we decorate. Not when you guys see my house, my basement decorated for holidays, it's not just for the holidays themselves. It's also to decorate for these events. And what we do all the time is that we get together. First, we go out somewhere to eat, for dinner,
Right.
and then after that, we meet over here and we watch a particular horror movie that is associated with the holiday. And so in this case with 4th of July, see, for the longest time, we usually watch the same movie over and over again each year, which, none of us ever really complained about. It was always fun seeing it. But now we're starting to branch out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going to happen with 4th of July. In this case, before, we often usually show Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not showing it not just for 4th of July, but also for upcoming Shark Week. But this time we're not going to do that for two reasons. One, like I said before, Jaws has turned 50 years old this year, and they're having a special screening at one of our AMC theaters, which they're going to show later this year in August, which we're going to go see on the big screen instead.
Hell yeah.
Also, the other reason, the movie, obviously, the replacement film in this case is undoubtedly I Know What You Did Last Summer, and we're watching that for two reasons. One, because, again, it takes place around 4th of July. And secondly, with the new one that's coming out soon, I kind of figured to myself, you know what? We should try to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer. I don't know exactly when we'll watch. I still know, but I'm sure we'll watch that somewhere along the line. But we will definitely not be watching the aforementioned I Always Know. That is dead to me.
I Know What You Did Last Summer. I hate that.
We are not even going to cover that film on this show. If you want to see reviews on that movie, you're going to have to watch somebody else's show for that one. But we're not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the YouTube channel Dead Meats, James A. Genius covered that movie, and he hates it as much as I do, so I say good on him for that. Yeah, seriously.
So for anybody that wants to see something about I Always Know, you'll have to watch it on that show, because we're not going to cover it. And to this day, I've never seen it. The only thing I even know of its existence is obviously the cover, and that's it. Yeah. Nothing else.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you want, we're not going to be covering I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Go to the channel Dead Meats. He did a kill cut on that, and it's good to know that James A. Janice hates I Always Know What You Did Last Summer as much as I do. So me and him are on the same page.
Yeah. Well, wait. Now, Babyface just said, Dead Meat is good. Babyface just said, still know what you. Oh, it's Shark Cake. Well, we do. Well, you know what? It's funny that
I saw what you did last summer. It's not bad. For the new one.
Sarah, you know what? It's funny she mentioned that, actually, because the typical tradition as we do with these holiday movie nights whenever we have them is, again, to keep not only just make it not only just about the movie itself, but also actually celebrate the holiday. We always have these holiday movie nights the week in advance before the actual holiday, because the reality of it is, not in the case with 4th of July, but some of these holidays, like let's say, for example, Christmas, for example, there's no way we could actually meet up on that holiday because, we have other stuff going on with our families. So we celebrate it a week in advance instead. Just, it's as close as we could celebrate the actual holiday. But to go back to Sarah's question, to keep up with the tradition, we usually make a cake associated with the holiday. I don't have a shark cake, but I do have, in this case for 4th of July, a star-shaped cake.
There you go.
There's not really very many cake pan designs that you could use. So a star, hey, we have stars on the U.S. flag. So and stars sometimes represent fireworks too. So that's as close as we can get. So as far as a shark cake is concerned, I'd love for that to be made for Jaws. Maybe if we ever did that for the anniversary of it. But unfortunately, I don't have anything like this at this time.
Yeah. Anyway, so
going back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and what I witnessed in this film in one particular scene was the fastest tire change ever.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So the tunnel scene, yes. So they decide, they can't go around the cars; they're just going to drive over them. And I'm like, yeah, good luck trying that in real life. But yeah, so yeah, then they end up breaking one of the tires that ends up going out, so they have to replace it. But then a bunch of rats come down the tunnel, and they realize the rats are running from infected. So they quickly, like, frantically change the tire just and they managed to drive away the very last second. I'm like, wow, fastest tire change ever.
yeah, really. I understand if it was like if you had like a bigger group, like let's say 20 people, maybe doing that, like to make that possible to go so fast with a tire change like that. But the fact that you only had 4 people making that tire change, that seems very unlikely. I mean, unless you're some kind of an Olympic runner, to make that happen, there's no way you could change a tire like that quick.
Unless he worked for NASCAR.
Let's see where for NASCAR.
Well, he could have. We don't know. Let's see. Oh, aside from Moneypenny, yeah, I don't know if I saw that. I've been meaning to get to it, but we kind of got we were all over the place here. But yeah, like Rampage, I'm not sure if that's really considered horror. It's more of like action and sci-fi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more of a sci-fi film. I don't really consider it a
Yeah,
I
Nick
don't
hates.
really consider it a horror movie.
Oh yeah, Nick definitely hates the people who made Jeepers, or the guy who made Jeepers Creepers anyway.
I have nothing against the cast, including the guy that plays the creeper
Yeah.
himself in that movie. I have nothing against them. It's the director I do not
Yes,
like.
it's the director we despise. Yeah, and we've said time and time again why we do not like him. So yeah,
In other words,
and,
I
and
like I like the movie. I like Jeepers Creepers. I just don't like the director.
yep, we refuse to cover this movie because because I'm not going to support the work of a pedophile. It's just wrong.
To this day, I still wonder how on earth he even still got to have the director's chair or even
Yeah.
get a job in the
Or
film industry.
or how he only managed to just spend just 15 months in jail for after what he did.
It's horrible.
Absolutely, but
Now,
all right, let's.
now
But I can go. I
babyface,
can go on. I can go on all day just how much I hate Victor Salva. But we got a movie to cover. So anyway,
babyface, just take my advice. I wouldn't say you should never watch Jeepers Creepers. Like I said, it actually is a pretty good movie. It's just the director that you just can't shake the feeling off of.
yep,
That's
I
what
agree. I agree.
every time when I do watch it, I just ignore. I just have to ignore the fact. I just focus on the movie itself.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
And yeah, so and then we get to like when they enter rural areas where the survivors they like Jim and the others they get to a rural area where there's like I don't think there's any infected around, but still I wouldn't take my chances. I would still want to sleep on inside someplace rather than outside. Then there was the scene where they hit where Selena offers them Valium, to help them sleep, and I'm like, okay, I like it. That just seems like a bad idea. It's like you're out in the open, vulnerable, and you're just gonna take a drug to fall asleep. And what if infected are nearby, happen to come by, and you can't wake up because you're under the influence?
Exactly. Well, in being out in a rural area, being out in open areas is just never a good idea because then you're exposed, you're isolated, and kind of like what we saw, for example, like in 28 Weeks Later, in the very opening of that film, where the guy, funny enough, the guy's name is also Don, where he's running across a field and they're like coming out in all directions. So if you're out in a field and all of a sudden you have hundreds of infected coming from all directions, you're screwed. And the only thing that's keeping you alive at that point is just the amount of space until they close that distance between you.
Yeah, I would like to think that Jim is still alive after this. They managed to get it to signal that plane. So yeah,
Well,
I'm pretty sure they did survive.
I don't know if
Uh,
you heard though. The original ending, there is an original ending. That wasn't the only ending they made. The original ending
yeah, that's
was
right.
where Jim was supposed to die.
That's right.
And they showed that to test audiences. And on according to what I was just watching a video about, in fact, Rochelle sent me a video about it earlier today. I couldn't watch it because she sent it to me while I was at work. And what I do a lot of times, because I say I listen to my music a lot, obviously I can't watch the video because I'm at work, but I did listen to it. So I did receive some very interesting information about that's where I discovered, for example, like when I found out that parts of the movie were filmed at dawn, like in downtown London. But according to this guy, I'll have to, I don't. We should do this at some point, Don. If you're up for this, we might be able to show some of those videos here on the show, like to present facts that we didn't know about that film. Like we could do it for like the last couple minutes. But according to what this guy said, was when they showed the movie with the original ending, according to Danny Boyle and some of the other filmmakers, that a lot of people, like the test audiences, did not like the original ending. They did not like the idea of Jim being killed the way he was. So instead, that's when they shot a new ending to show that Jim survived. But you might find this hard to believe, there were some theatrical release screenings where they would show the new ending, for the film, but then in the post, they would add the original ending in the post credit scenes, almost to kind of give that kind of feel like that kind of belief, like, did he actually survive? Did he really survive? Like, was it just a dream of some sort? So they actually, even on one occasion, added both endings to the film, and that original ending, if you have a DVD of it today, is included on the special features.
It is, yeah. I mean, hey, it wouldn't be the first time that they had to change endings to satisfy audiences.
Yep.
Yeah, this has both the theatrical ending and the original ending. So, yeah, if you feel like watching the dark ending, like, yeah, it's right here.
Sarah's like, I haven't heard this joke in a long time. Cornfields are worse. Yeah, they are worse because considering they're big and they're tall, and you can never see them coming then. I mean, yeah, cornfields are dangerous. That's why I've snuck up on people. That's why they call me Nick of the Corn.
Yeah. And also, we got to mention when they finally come across the soldiers, like this was after Frank was killed because, yeah, well, first let's talk about Frank. He is annoyed by a crow that was pecking on an infected corpse. And he scared as he scared the crow off. The crow dropped a blood from the infected corpse. It landed in Frank's eye. Like that's like one. Of course, that just had to happen.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but pretty much that would have been like, gotcha, bullseye.
Oh my god.
No pun intended.
Yeah, sure. Is it bad that I think the ending of the was it had a bit of cheesiness to it. Yeah, I would consider a bad ending. It's more like a tragic ending. I mean, that ending is the way the play originally ended. That's why they added that to it. They wanted to make it more like the play, but audiences were not satisfied that, so they wanted to make it a more happier. Yeah.
Well, and that's what you sometimes see when it comes to some of these movies out there. Another thing that should be noted about 28 Days like this. Yeah. Oh, actually, no. I got to say this too because like how we saw when Frank got infected, which again is another example to show how fast the virus infects you very quickly. People have asked, and I'm surprised no one's asked this question on the show, but I'm gonna pretty much answer before anybody else does have intention to, saying, is it possible for a virus like that to really not only really exist but infect someone? Because like in the film they say you only have between 20 to 30 seconds to kill them before they kill you. So the question is it possible for a virus like that to infect somebody like that? From based on what I've done on my research, and even a lot of the scientific websites have said it, the chances of the chances of something like that to really infect someone within 20 to 30 seconds that's very unlikely. There may be viruses that can infect somebody within a few hours, but not within 20 to 30 seconds like that. That's kind of almost not humanly possible.
Yeah, I just have a hard time believing that a virus could spread into somebody's system like that quickly and like corrupt their brain and make them go on a rage. Like,
even if a virus like that really did exist, like in this case with rage, I do not think in any way, shape, or form it would infect you immediately within 20 to 30 seconds. If anything, like any virus or bacteria, because again, like I said, I went to biology class. I used to study this stuff. From what I know is that even if a virus like that was to fully exist, it would take, again, quite a number of hours for it to fully infect you, because it has to go through that process of going through your immune system, going to your heart, your brain, infecting whatever it's able to. And that's not, in this, even for a virus, that's not a quick and easy process, even for a virus. That's very, very difficult on the virus itself. So when we think of, viruses and bacteria being these nasty pathogens that are trying to do harm to our bodies and our blood and stuff like that, well, believe it or not, even viruses and it's a stressful period even for them to, infect somebody. So it would not, that's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that actually happening.
Although, if we there is a talk, actually, I just thought, I saw a show about this years ago, that what if there's a possibility there could be diseases out there, like maybe not here on Earth, but like on other planets, like for example, when
An
we want
alien plague?
like an alien plague of some sort, like, people that go, like, let's say, like, for the past 30, 40 years trying to make the first manned expedition to Mars. Yeah, we want to, I know there's been that talk of wanting to colonize Mars, even though it still hasn't happened. But
Yeah, colonize Mars so we can mess up that planet just like we are
yeah,
with this one.
well, that's exactly what I've been thinking. But the point I'm trying to say is that we still don't know exactly a planet like Mars really has in store for us. So how do we not know there could be unknown diseases out on the Martian surface that maybe not here on Earth, but maybe on Mars it can cause an infection like that? We don't know, because to this day we still haven't even sent. We may have sent satellites and drones out there, but we have to this day have yet to send anybody on the surface of Mars. So we really don't know to this day.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, we got to talk about the where Jim, Selena, and Hannah met up with the soldiers and and they head to the mansion, right? So, yeah, this is pretty much the third act, and yeah, like I just love like the way that this movie's set up, like the pacing, everything. But yeah, like like the way the story structure, just spot on. But yeah, the third act, these soldiers, it seems like sanctuary, right? They're holding up this mansion, plenty of people to protect them, but turns out the girls need be protected from the soldiers because because the major, what was his name, West? Yeah,
What?
West revealed their sinister and plans for the women, and of course Jim, of course, is disgusted by this and ends up fighting back against them and ends up turning his tables on them in the end. The soldiers get their comeuppance.
Actually, although the soldiers have a dark intention, just remember there was one soldier out of the group that was not with them on it.
Right. Yeah.
He
Well.
was on
Yeah.
Jim's side. Unfortunately, he's executed, but he did not like the idea of it either. So, yes, the soldiers for the most part were the antagonists,
Mm-hmm.
and but there was at least one soldier that knew better, that this was not the answer, and
Right.
he tried defending them too. You could hear him yelling, saying, please leave them alone. That
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Exactly.
He was,
Exactly.
I think, in some way, when it came to Selena, and what was the girl's name again?
Hannah.
Hannah. I really kind of had a feeling of the guy that was trying to defend them, especially towards Hannah. He looked like he could have had he looked like he was like a father figure in some way. So it's almost like
Yeah, I can see
he
that.
looked like he could have really, it was almost like he was protecting both, but it was almost like he was kind of giving kind of like a fatherly protection from the rest of the soldiers.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Now,
And
Sarah just said something about, oh, check this out. Sarah has a degree in biology. Okay.
yeah, I pointed that out. Yes.
Yeah, she also said she disagreed. Infection can happen in milliseconds, incubation
Yes.
rates to see. Okay, so that might make sense. And then this, people are talking about the black-eyed goo plagues right now. I've never heard anything about that before.
And me
That,
neither.
that's new to me, but that sounds like something out of the bubonic plague.
Man,
That's scary when you think about it, though, because
it is.
not
It
even
is.
just the idea of emitting black goo from your eyes, but probably more importantly, knowing how potentially deadly it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Man. And I liked I like how quickly Jim was able to like think on his feet when he was dealing with the soldiers. It's like first he escapes the two soldiers who were going to execute him by hiding amongst the pile of dead bodies,
Yeah,
you know. But then and then heading back to the and like heading over to sound off that air siren to lure West and a couple of his men out, you know, they'll basically like distract them, and also possibly to lure the infected to them as well. But then finally, when he gets to the mansion, he lets loose that infected soldier that they were keeping
Mailer,
alive. Yeah, Mailer,
Mailer.
that they were keeping alive to like study. Like Wes said, just wanted to learn from him how long it how and also how long it takes before they starve to death. And so yeah, he pretty much used that against them. Let Mailer out, and he ends up infecting so one soldier, and both those infected soldiers infect another soldier, and then another soldier.
Yeah,
And I liked how Hannah was able to hide from one of the infected soldiers by like hiding behind a mirror.
yeah.
I'm
That
like,
was
wow,
smart.
that was quick thinking. That was
It
it's
was.
like yeah, and also suspenseful too because it's like the zombies looking right like I keep saying zombie, but no,
The
infected.
infected,
Yeah, because that infected soldier just looked right at the mirror, saw his reflection, does not know that a teenage girl is hiding behind that.
not
And
just teenage girl, just that a non-infected person is
yeah,
behind it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh man, and then finally, Jim gets to Corporal Mitchell, who is holding Selena, and then oh yes, that was smart, very very smart, babyface. Yeah, but well, again, I just love when people make smart decisions in horror movies. And
Oh,
then when Jim like finally takes down Coral Mitchell by gouging his eyes out,
yeah,
like wow, it's but I will admit though that could have been a lot more graphic. I have seen more graphic depictions of people having their eyes gouged out in horror films,
me
but
too.
and then at this point, it's like Selena doesn't know if Jim is infected or not because he pretty much went killed Mitchell very savagely. So
Like an infected person would.
exactly. So she brings the machete at him but doesn't hit him. And then Jim says, that was longer than a heartbeat.
I love that
And
line.
I loved that. I was like, oh my God, I
That
love this is such brilliant writing.
It's such
Seriously.
a badass line. And there was actually one time you know what? I don't remember what it was, but I actually did use that line for some occasion of some sort. Not, and in fact, I don't think it was anything involving sickness. I think it was involving something else. But I said that same line, saying that was longer than a heartbeat. So I took direct inspiration from that line. And of course, let's not forget one of our most important thing during that whole sequence when Jim is taking all the soldiers down. That badass theme song, that dark theme song
I
that's
love
played
that
throughout
song. Loved it.
that's like the official theme song of the 28 Days Later franchise. And to be fully honest with you, I had just discovered this. Well, I discovered it a few years ago, but I still like listening to it. It's become a pretty popular song, not just because of the films. It's been used in other stuff. In fact, two examples I could say that I've heard that song in other media. I'm not going to go into detail about this, but I think they were trying to give just a very disturbing aspect of it. Was I watched a YouTube video? It was an old Windows Movie Maker slideshow
Huh?
in which, again, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it was a slideshow that was detailing some of the worst killer kids that we've ever dealt. You know, kids who committed murder.
Right.
But they're just slideshows, and you know, because it's Movie Maker, it has like title cards that talk about who this person is, you know, who this kid was, what they did. They don't show any crime photos, thankfully, but just reading the information is disturbing. But throughout that whole video, they play that theme song in the background, which just it's awesome to hear, but it just makes it sound so much more unsettling when you watch this video. And then the other example is you guys know all too well about my audiobooks that I do.
Yeah,
Obviously,
that you've yet to release.
I know. I'm trying to make more time I'm trying to make more time for, again, I've had all these, with all due respect, I've had all these health issues and stuff like that.
Mm.
But you know, I'm doing a lot better now. I was sick last week, in case anybody asked where I was last week. I was sick. So just a cold. But you know, obviously I took inspiration from audio, you know, to do these audiobooks from listening to other audiobooks. And one of my favorites, which sadly, you know, we don't know what happened to him, Creepypasta Jr. made
Oh yeah.
audiobooks, which was really good reader, but he just vanished. We don't know what happened to him. He's not said anything. We have not heard anything, Larry, within him from the last 4 or 5 years. So we don't know what's going on. But prior to his disappearance, though, when he made his creepypasta stories, which a lot of them were kind of more paranormal themed, some of his videos, just like I do, he has, music, piano music, creepy piano music that plays in the background. But believe it or not, some of his videos happens to be the piano version of the 28 Days Later theme song.
Nice.
So that just once again goes to show how popular that theme song is. It's
yeah.
probably almost just as popular to me as like the Halloween theme song, if you will.
Right. Oh yeah. But so like after they all get out of the mansion, they go into the cab that they came in on, only discovered that Wes has been waiting for them and shoots then he shoots Jim in the chest, like upper, like, or I think it was actually, yeah, it was like around his chest area. And then so what does Hannah do in response? She gets in the driver's seat and then goes in reverse, right? It's into right up to Mailer, that infected soldier.
Yep.
And the Mailer drags drags Wes out and starts really going at him. And I'm just at that moment I'm just thinking, hey, Wes, you said you wanted to learn a lot from Mailer about him being infected, right? Well, now you can learn how to be infected like him.
Exactly. I just looked up. So the theme song too, one more thing about, I just decided, because there's information about it on like what Babyface said, Nightmare on Elm Street theme is totally iconic. Yeah, it's just like the same thing in this case with 28 Days Later. The actual name of the song is called In the House in a Heartbeat. It was performed by John Murphy. And it turns out, yeah, I was right. It has been used in other media. It says, as well as being used during the climax of 28 Days Later, it recurs in several scenes in the sequel, obviously 28 Weeks Later. An extremely similar piece, also by Murphy, has been used in a climatic torture and fight scene in 2010's Kick-Ass and its sequel, Kick-Ass 2.
Yeah, I remember that.
An arrangement was used in the final scene of the first episode of the anime High School of the Dead. And the track was also used.
I love that movie.
And the tracks was also used in the trailer of Beowulf. And in
Beowulf?
addition, Beowulf, if I'm saying that right.
It's Beowulf.
Beowulf, yeah, from 2007. Same year as 28 Weeks Later came out. And then also the BBC used it in a number of their television programs in July 2011. It was used in tense or large-scale moments in Top Gear, The Apprentice, and Richard Hammond's Journey 2. Then the following year was used in commercials for both Strongbow Cider and Lewis.
What?
I don't know what that is. That sounds like some type of it might be some. See, again, if Kate was on, she probably might know what I'm talking. I think these are they're British drinks. They're British drinks, I think. So, and it had also been used too in trailers for the post-apocalyptic video games Metro 2033 and Metro Exodus.
Yeah.
And
I remember when that came out. I remember.
Yeah. And finally, the song was covered by British death metal band The Rotted on their album Get Dead or Die Trying. The Italian band, the Eldridge, used the song in the first CD of their 2008 live album Livequake as an intro. A Trace remix was also produced by the Irish duo To Sandio in 2000. Seems like not only is this a popular track in the UK, it seems like it's really popular throughout Europe. And indie developer James Silva covered the track for the Xbox Live arcade game The Dishwasher Vampire Smile in a Guitar Hero style minigame segment where the protagonists play guitar solos. This iteration was included in one of the game's soundtracks when released for free for the developer's Bandcamp site, where it was dubbed Life and Hoss in a Heartbeat, John Murphy homage. So that's pretty cool. This theme song was more than just, unlike some of these other theme songs we were saying about other movies. I like how it was more than just your typical horror movie theme song. It had been used in other media, including, like I said, the aforementioned videos I've seen on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
I'll use that for one of my audiobooks at some point.
Oh, yeah. So after they escape from the mansion, They ended up in, I think I just looked this up. I didn't know where this was at the time when I saw this movie, but I looked it up. It's Cumbria. It's a yeah, they and it's like a rural area like there in an isolated cottage, and this takes place 28 days afterwards. So Jim ended up in another 28-day coma. I'm just like, how many comas does this guy have in his life?
Probably has more comas in his lifetime than anybody else. Which, if you really think about it, if he was 28 days in a coma in the first part of the movie and now in another 28, that would equal it all up to
8 weeks.
not only 8 weeks, that's like about 56 days, I think.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So for him, it's really kind of more or less like almost 56 days later for him.
Yeah, pretty much. And
yeah, it moved like the infected. You're absolutely. I love that comment that Sarah made.
Yeah, yeah. So they ended up, setting up like this, like this sign, like the cloth banners that spell the word "hello" to signal that this jet that keeps flying over them. And so I want. They never show whether or not they get rescued, but I would like to think they did. And it also showed that all the infected are now dying from starvation. So this indicates that things will go back to normal if all the infected die and if they dispose of all the bodies properly.
Seeing how they just like become so emaciated, almost skeleton like, which gives that kind of victorious feel to. And that plane scene again. Hear it from the video earlier today. That was a real plane that they used for that final scene, which I don't know how it was possible, but that plane that they borrowed for the movie, it was actually a really low budget that they were able to afford one of those, which I thought that would have been higher. I thought it would have been much higher to get I think it was like a military plane. I would have thought
it was. It was. I looked it up. It was a military plane, and I'm more than likely it cost them a good chunk of their budget.
It did, but it still was relatively cheaper than some of the other parts in the movie they had to shoot, which I thought it would have been the opposite way around.
Right. I'd like to think he got rescued. Oh, yeah, definitely.
One other note to say, because I've seen this for myself. This is involving another deleted scene from 28 Days Later. This goes back actually toward the demise of the soldiers. Mm-hmm. If you notice very quickly that, yes, Jim was trying to lure more infected, but we never saw them other than Mailer and the other infected soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That was also a new scene shot because there was an original scene where more infected were supposed to come out and attack the soldiers. But Danny Boyle, I guess, changed his mind and decided to change that because I guess he wanted to. Because again, when you see these type of apocalyptic movies, it's not just the infected or zombies or whatever that you have to worry about. You also have to worry about those crazy survival groups out there, which is typical in a lot of those type of genre.
Yeah, like Last of Us. We see that in The Last of Us. We've seen that in The Last of Us. We've seen that in The Walking Dead. It's all over post-apocalyptic. Yeah, Z Nation. Let's see, The Stand. It's all over post-apocalyptic movies.
Yeah, we see that all the time. So I think, but because this was 2002, where we didn't have as much of it back then, I guess he wanted to kind of give more of the human aspect to show that the real monsters are the normal human beings, not the infected. So that's what eventually made him change that scenery. Instead of having the infected come out and swarm up the place, he instead relied on just two of them, and also rely again on the human primitive aspect, and also in addition to that too, in that original scene, because if you remember, after Wes is killed, and we saw Mailer just screaming out into the night, you noticed that the other the other infected soldier, was not with them, which kind of gave some thought, like saying, what happened to that guy? Well, it turns out in the original scene involving more infected, that soldier was originally killed by Wes. He would have actually seen, he was not with Mailer, because I know at some points they separate, but he sees him running towards Wes, and because he has his gun with, he immediately shoots and kills him very quickly. So that might also explain why you don't see the other soldier. Was originally he was supposed to be killed West, and that's why you just see Mailer at the end.
Mhm. Yeah, that would add up. Yeah.
They've also given some information about who Mailer could have been before he was infected, because they said in the film where he was infected 2 days prior to everything.
Yeah.
And there's a Wikipedia page about it too, because they, a lot of movies have
Oh,
their own Wiki pages.
well, Wes did say that in the movie too. He mentioned it as he was talking to Jim about Mailer.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. They said that. That's why I said he mentions that they were infected 2 days before. But when I looked at the Wikipedia page about, they said that it is unknown if Mailer was on board with the before he was infected. It's unknown if he was also on board with the rest of the soldiers of wanting to do this devious deed. There
Yeah.
was a likely chance that, just like the other soldier, he too may have been originally against it and did not like it. It was also said too that, I don't know if it was to West or if it was one of the other soldiers, but it was said that Mailer did not get along with one of the other soldiers. So that might also give a hint that he may have also been against what the rest of the soldiers were doing.
Yeah. Man. Second, you learned what their intentions were. The very only one word came to mind, and that word was savages.
Real savage. Except for, like I said, the one soldier, the rest
With
of them
one
were
exception. With one exception, yes,
with one
yes.
exception, the rest of them were savages. And I also like to say I almost forgot one more thing about Mailer is when we're first introduced to him, and then after when Wes leaves, Jim with just Mailer out in that courtyard or whatever it was.
Right.
And after he vomited all that blood up and he's lying on the ground, it's like, and he tries reaching out to, Jim. It almost shows as if the infected may have still some type of mentality, maybe somehow within him. But unfortunately, whether or not it's a trick that he was demonstrating, it goes to show that even if they are trying to, if he was reaching out to try to help, ask for help, it wouldn't matter because he's still infected with the rage virus.
Exactly.
So you could be in other words, it's like he's probably in pain and agony, and it's would have wanted medical attention, but he couldn't because again of the infection. Because if he tried receiving any type of attention, obviously,
Yeah.
those people, Jim would be killed or infected too.
Yeah, and yeah, it feels like it is implied that these infected are in constant pain. Their body temperature is like through the roof, which was implied by the PETA activist woman who was bitten by the chimp. When she puked up that blood, she said she was burning. So
So
yeah,
it's very painful. Well, again, like the hemorrhaging too inside of their, because
yes,
it pretty much damaged not only just their bloodstream but their internal organs too. So imagine the amount of pain they're actually going through. And there was somebody who actually asked, I think it was on Quora or Reddit, I don't remember, because you would think immediately when it comes to people who are infected with a virus, like just like you see in most like most movies, like Outbreak, for example, like we always see people who are infected with an unknown type or new virus, where usually you find them in hospitals, you find them in bed, they're bedridden, and
right,
you would think, and somebody asked saying like, even though obviously we know the answer to this already, saying, how can we never see anybody like in bedridden from the virus? In this case, with the rage virus, that would never happen because they're constantly on the move. So the
yeah,
idea of them laying in bed is impossible because, I mean, let's be honest, and this is something I forgot to mention, is I can't help but notice, and this is probably the most frightening part about the infected, is just how unbelievably fast they run. They are so
they
fast.
are.
I mean, they run it's almost inhuman. It's like they're
Yep.
running at like 20, 30 miles an hour.
Yep. It makes me think. It makes me think of this.
Well, and
Funny.
that's what I think too. I mean, like, it's not the first time that we've seen. I mean, again, I know they're not zombies. It's not the first time that we saw, zombies or infected running in movies. Like, let's say, for example, Return of the Living Dead. But if you even look at Return of the Living Dead, they're still running at a normal pace like a normal human being would. But in 28
Right.
days later, it's almost like as badly damaged as their bodies are and the pain they're going through, it's like they're also given kind of like superhuman strength as well as speed. So that's what I'm saying. It's like they're running at like 20, 30 miles an hour, and it just seems like the only way to obviously outrun them is in a car.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
because that scene you mentioned earlier, when they finally got the tire changed and they sped into the car, they got into the car and drove off, and you saw the infected, they stopped because they knew that they were not going to be able to catch up to it. So they decided to start going out and looking for other victims. So, but just by the human aspect of running, like just running on foot, and you encounter them, especially if you have like hundreds of them, you're not going to be able to run away. They'll catch up to you very quickly.
Yeah,
So you're just a turtle to them practically.
it's pretty much like the equivalent of trying to outrun a dog. You ever tried to outrun a dog? It's impossible.
I've done it with Mabel at times, and nope, there's never been one time unless she stops, there's never one time that I've ever um been able to outrun. I mean, even if you're an Olympic runner, again, I don't think you'd be able to outrun them because they're just so fast in that case. And I mean, yes, we know the reality is that they just sped up the footage to make them look like they are running fast, but the technique, how they do that, is just so well done.
Small dog is easy to run away from.
Small dog, maybe, but a large dog, though,
What?
is
Yeah, if it was like a German Shepherd or a pit bull or a Bach, or let's see, or a golden retriever, any one of those dogs, any one of the larger breed dogs, then yeah, those are like impossible to outrun.
we used to have two back when I was back in high school. We used to watch two dogs over here. They were both labs, and well, one of them didn't really run as much because he was an old dog, but the other one was young. And man, I got to tell you, he ran out in our backyard like he was a horse. And every time when I tried running, he caught up to me just like that. So
Bailey. Yeah, Bailey,
no,
right?
not Bailey. No, not Bailey. It was two neighborhood dogs we used to run.
I got mixed up. My bad.
Yeah, well, well, I'll say just like Bailey though. Sadly, because this was over 15 years ago, they've obviously have passed away since. But
Right.
I still remember how fast they were. So I always used to even say a lot of times that one dog was not even a dog; he was a horse because he was so freaking fast, and I couldn't outrun him.
Oh yeah. Oh man, and sometimes I see like people put up these signs. Anybody who has a dog, right? They just have a sign. Sometimes they put up a sign that says "Beware of dog," which is typical. But there, every once in a while, they come across a sign that shows a dog symbol, and beneath it, it says, "I can make it from my back door to the fence in less than 2 seconds. Can you?"
Yeah, yeah, it is scary, baby face. That's so scary how fast they move. Yeah, I know.
How fast
That's
the infected? Yeah,
it. Really is that real ultimate message that if you're again like when we mentioned earlier about if you're out in an open field and all of a sudden you have hundreds of the infected running towards you at such super speed, knowing what their intentions are. I mean,
mm-hmm.
even if you had a weapon, but if you have no, I mean, even if you had a weapon, but you have no protection or something, you see them coming right towards you from all directions. It pretty much is really,
Yeah,
you're pretty much screwed at that point. You're
yeah.
either going to die, or you're going to be infected like them.
Yeah, the safe. I would like to think the safest way to deal with the infected is a gun, like something long range, because even fighting them up close with a melee weapon, like say a machete or a bat or something like that, there's a chance there. You got to remember, there's the possibility that even that can cause you to get infected if any of that blood sprays onto you.
Well, yeah, just like in zombie movies, you see like Walking Dead, for example, you see them kill walkers or zombies, and blood splatters on their faces and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, but what I'm talking about is that even if you have a weapon like a gun, but if you, yeah, might be able to take a few out, but if you have hundreds of them surrounding you, the gun won't matter then because you may be able to kill a few, but you're not going to be able to kill every single one of them.
Right.
So either way, you're screwed in that situation because again, you just only knocked down a few individuals. You did not take down the entire swarm.
Right. So so these infected. Do you have to just hit them in the head, or can you just kill them other ways, like through the chest, through the heart, or something like that? Because they never actually say like they'll only die from being hit in the head.
Yeah, because they're not zombies.
Yeah, pretty
So
much.
I would
So
assume that killing any part of the body would I mean hitting any part of the body would kill them.
Yeah, so we can pretty. I'm sure if the war in the world of 28 days later, I'm pretty sure we can ignore that rule of where it's only in the head
Well, not to mention again with their
or a
hemorrhages,
grenade. That could work.
with the hemorrhages infecting their system, their organs entirely, you would think they would also be far more easier to kill because they're in constant pain. You think they would be a lot more vulnerable. I mean, yes, they still have the superhuman speed and strength, but that doesn't necessarily make them. I mean, unless they're again in a swarm, that just an individual one, that doesn't mean that they're all powerful in that case,
Right.
in that matter.
Yeah.
And also, when you mentioned earlier about like the kid, for example, I wanted to say this before, like where it was the only time that you heard one supposedly speak. Well, Danny Boyle did make it had an Danny Boyle did have an interview. I mean, he said in an interview that that wasn't originally supposed to be part of the film. That was not supposed to be. It was accidental that they added that. It
Yeah.
was just.
Probably Sarah.
It was just. I think they were trying to make a different type of noise or something like. I can't remember what it was, but that wasn't the intention Danny Boyle had for that scene. They were not supposed to talk at all. They were just supposed to either hiss or scream, and that was it.
Hmm.
You'll have to, if I find that information, I'll send it to you because
Okay.
yeah, I think it might have been on a Wiki page. So, but Danny Boyle does
I don't.
describe
I don't
more.
trust Wikipedia.
Yeah, yeah, Danny Boyle describes more about it. I just can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So, yeah, 28 days later. If you're planning on seeing the new movie, be sure to watch this along with 28 weeks later first. Yeah, 'cause these are pretty good. These are pretty good horror flicks. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite British horror movies. It's definitely right up there with Wicker Man. Let's see, Dog Soldiers, American Werewolf in London. Yeah, like, oh man, I got plenty of good things to say about 28 Days Later. So yeah, that's anyway. That's gonna be it for this edition of the Fear Fans podcast. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done an episode where it's just you and me, Nick.
Yeah, it really has been, and it's kind of and that's how we originally started to
Yeah,
begin with. So it's kind of like a throwback to what we how we originally began. I almost forgot. I wanted to also end this too with 28 Days Later, and this actually comes from the words because he's seen the movie, and this comes from the words of a very famous British director who was featured in a horror documentary, and it happens to be no other than Peter Jackson. And
Oh,
Peter Jackson once said, when you see a movie like 28 Days Later, it really does inspire you of wanting to make horror movies. And it looks like fun, and it is fun.
nice. Yeah, well said, Peter Jackson. Yeah, I mean, he worked on a gory horror film himself, Dead Alive. One day we got to cover that.
Yeah, we do. And then, of course, obviously,
It's a hard movie to find.
yeah, it's harder than to be honest, it's harder to find now than it was like even 10, 15 years ago. Cause I still remember watching it on TV. I don't know if it was recorded from an actual channel or if I just happened to watch it. I mean, I know this doesn't exist anymore, sadly. I don't know if it was on a channel or if it was actually on FearNet that used to exist on Comcast.
It
I
was
think it
Fear
might
Net.
have, yeah, I think it was FearNet that I saw the film. But yeah, it's a tougher movie to find now than what it was like 10, 15 years ago.
You can buy a copy of it on DVD off Amazon for like I think $20. If you depends on it depends on the seller, but
Yeah,
there do exist Blu-rays, but most of them are like international. But oh, here's one copy that's an American version. But guess what?
out of stock.
No.
Oh my god, it's $200,
Yep.
$200. Holy cow! Oh, good
Yeah.
thing I saw
So
that movie when I had the opportunity.
yeah. So if you just happen to want a this on Blu-ray, yeah, just fork over $200. Most
I'm
expensive.
sure they probably have cheaper copies, like on eBay or something like that, or Etsy.
Unlikely. Unlikely.
I'm gonna have to look that up, and I'll have to get back to you on that. Well,
Yeah, I
and
do enjoy Dead Alive, but it's one of the goriest movies I've ever seen. So it's definitely not for the squeamish. But we definitely got to warn Kate about that. But I, the funny thing, when I was in high school, my one of the people who worked with me, Miss Shimoleski, Yeah, she was definitely my favorite teacher of the whole of there. You know, she had this like real hippie vibe to her. But anyway, so I recommended Dead Alive to her because it was on Comcast like on demand back at the time. It was like back in
Yeah,
later like 2009 or 2010. But
that's when
so
I saw it.
yeah, I recommended it, and her daughter Lucy, who was in the same school. Hey, yeah, she like I went up to her and said, "Hey, how'd you guys enjoy Dead Alive?" And she's like, "That was so fucking disgusting." I'm like, and I just laughed.
It was, but at the same time, like how the way how Peter Jackson also extended it to even be like comedy to make it hilarious too. I mean, yes, it's so gory, but
Yeah.
it's also really funny too.
Yeah,
Like, 'cause-
especially the priest in the cemetery. The priest going against the zombies and
oh, that is my all time favorite scene out of the
going against
entire
it
movie.
with
I
Kung
remember I
Fu.
was watching that with my dad. And I don't know if my dad was, but I almost. I'm not gonna lie. It was so funny watching that. I was sitting on the couch and I almost fell to the ground laughing because I was like crying. It was so damn funny. And I
Yep.
just love that famous line goes, I kick ass for the Lord. We'll have to bring that up before we watch that.
That delivery alone just had me. I'm just like, oh my god, this guy's a legend.
That was just like
It,
that's
it,
like I mean I know there's a lot of great moments in that movie, but that was undoubtedly my
uh,
favorite scene out of the entire film.
it's like, why did they have to kill him off? Why not let him continue and
It was
fight
so
zombies?
good.
Why not have him continue to fight zombies alongside Lionel? That would have been epic.
I gotta
Oh
do
my
the kicking
god.
somehow. Oh, and check this out. Tom says he's got Dead Alive on
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
he showed us that once before.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
he
right.
did.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
I asked him where can I get a copy of this. He said, not easily, and I believe it. Yeah.
And it's just I just love the movie so much. It's so damn funny. But yeah, it's funny as hell if you haven't seen it, Babyface.
Oh yeah.
And it's just amazing to think that it came from what eventually became one of the greatest directors in the world, you know, who made the Lord of the Rings franchise and
Yes.
2005 remake of King Kong. And of course, he also has, keeping up with the British theme, he's also been a huge fan of the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
He has like an archive involving he was a couple of years ago he was interviewed on 60 Minutes,
Oh.
and they were talking about like recently discovered footage of the Beatles. I think it was like from 1969 because that was also when around John Lennon got married to Yoko Ono, and it was like never before seen footage of them performing for some kind of concert in 16 either 1968 or 69. And so he's got it's more than just filmmaking he does. He has like a full archive involving the Beatles. So, you know,
Nice.
kudos to him to keep up with the legacy of them.
Oh yeah. For
So, but
sure.
yeah, but the bottom line, what I'm trying to say about him more than anything else is I loved the advice that he gave for 28 Days Later, no doubt.
Oh yeah. It was great advice. So that's going to be it for this edition of the Fear Fans podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. Oh, and be sure to tune in next week because it'll be the last Tuesday before 4th of July, and it'll be no better time than to cover Uncle Sam. You know, that I remember seeing that all the time, like on the shelf at Blockbuster. Never watched it until like much more recent years. It was like 6 years ago when I first saw it. But yeah, it's really gonna be something. I will say that.
And also, as a reminder, Don, I should
Yep.
probably tell you this right now because since we got our holiday movie night coming up this Saturday
Right.
in less than an hour and a half, I should probably say this will be the last time you'll also see my basement like this for a little while because in less than an hour and a half, I'm going to be heading over to the holiday area just across the basement here. And I unpacked the bins for the 4th of July decorations. So next week, when you see me, in the basement, you're most likely going to see, well, not necessarily red, white, and blue, but you're probably going to see a lot of blue around me. Not like the song I'm Blue, but you get the idea. I knew you were going to do that.
I have the song, but I can't play it because of copyright. But
Yeah,
anyway,
again,
it
damn
was good.
copyright.
It was good to see you as well, babyface. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good
So
seeing you too.
yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to tune in next week, and we will cover Uncle Sam. Yeah, it's oh man, it's gonna be crazy.
It's
So
going to be fun because
yeah.
I'm really surprised we haven't covered that sooner. But, you know, as
Well, we're
long as
doing it
we
now.
have, what's that?
Right, well, we're doing it now. So,
Well, I was going to say, as long as we have a couple movies, obviously, to keep us going for the next couple years when it comes to these holidays, that's extremely good. And Braxton, who I could still see, is in the chat. Braxton, I'll probably see you on some of the other shows that I do later this week. So, because again, he's been watching some of our other shows, so I'll probably see him sometime
oh,
later this week.
great. Hey, thanks
But
for your support.
he's become a loyal follower. I mean, in addition to this show, because I think in this case he's obviously gotten interested in the other shows that I do.
Yep.
He has expanded to the other shows that we have on Things and Multiverse Network. So he's definitely now a loyal follower to us, which I can't thank Braxton enough for it.
Yes, thank you so much for your support, Braxton. Appreciate it.
Not just for this show, but for all of our shows. That I'm very happy that you know that these other shows really mean a lot to the rest of us. And he has just as great of a time watching the other shows just as much as he does with this one. So
Awesome.
thank you once again, Braxton,
Awesome.
for your
Great.
support.
Oh yeah. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure, and we'll see you next week when we cover Uncle Sam. So until then, have a good night, everybody.